Hello and welcome to the 2022 Panther Aerospace Holiday Special. Today, we will be covering everything Panther Aerospace did from the last holiday special to the present day. Near the end of 2021, Panther Aerospace received 5 new rockets to build and launch in preparation for Launchapalooza 2. They were Panther Arcturus, Navy Arcturus, Greenzilla, Comanche 3, and Supernova. Construction of Panther Arcturus, Navy Arcturus, and Greenzilla began on New Year's Day, with 3 ejection baffles being constructed. Later that week, the engine mounts were built, with Navy Arcturus' engine mount suffering a construction accident, delaying its construction for over a month. Throughout the middle of January, Panther Arcturus and Greenzilla received their fins and launch lugs, with their fin reinforcements added nearly a month later prior to spray painting. Comanche 3 and Supernova were next in line to be built, with construction wrapping up on the last weekend of January. The boosters of these multi-stage rockets were built in this time, but their fins were not attached until the summer. After replacement parts were ordered for Navy Arcturus' engine mount, construction of it resumed and was wrapped up in just 2 days from February 11th to 12th. The original trailer for Launchapalooza 2 in PantherCon 2022 aired before the Navy Arcturus was finished. Throughout the month of February, all 5 rockets were spray painted simultaneously in phases, with Supernova and Comanche 3 having decals added to them over February break. As spring neared, Panther Aerospace progressed with preparations for its test launches. The Arcturuses were decaled on the first weekend of March and were clear-coated soon after. On March 11, 2022, Panther Aerospace started its 4th launch season with Stars and Stripes, Freedom, and Independence in an event named Dawn of a New Era. These private test flights did not go well, and Stars and Stripes' fins needed repairs. 2 weeks later, on March 25th, Panther Aerospace was back at it again with their 2nd launch, still testing. This time, there were 9 rockets from Delta, Epsilon, and Zeta squadrons. This launch tested out some new rocket configurations for the first time, with the late Black Brant 2 flying on a C-11-3 for the first time, and Outlaw launching on the A3-4T. Outlaw lost its nose cone on this flight and was repaired in time for Launcha de Mayo. On April 3rd, Panther Aerospace launched its first public launch event of 2022, New Horizons, with 13 rockets, including 5 new rockets built over the winter, as well as other large rockets including Falcon 9. Epsilon Squadron passed testing and was cleared to fly at Launchapalooza 2. Delta Squadron was cleared 1 week earlier. Due to high winds, 3 more weeks went on without a launch. Repairs on the rockets that crashed at the past demo launches were completed. The 4th launch, Launcha de Mayo, was completed on April 24th with 15 rockets, the 2nd largest event ever completed at the time. Alpha, Beta, Gamma, and Zeta squadrons were tested again, with 1 rocket, the original Space Force's, crashing and receiving irreparable damage. Falcon 9 also crashed, losing a fin in the process. A vital decision was made when no replacement fin can was found. Space Force's fin can was to be removed and added to Falcon 9, while a replacement Space Force based off the highly successful Arcturus design would be built. This happened throughout the month of May, with a 5th and final demo launch, Flight of the Falcons, launching on June 4th, the original launch date for Launchapalooza 2. 3 rockets were flown, including the Independence, the redesigned Falcon 9, and the brand new Space Force Arcturus. Mechasaurus, Panther Aerospace's mascot, was also present at this event. All demo launches were completed. Over the next month, preparations for Launchapalooza 2 continued, as the boosters of the multi-stage rockets were being finished, and the entire fleet being ready for launch. On July 1st, propellant loading began for Launchapalooza 2, wrapping up on July 2nd. Over the next week, all rockets had their parachutes loaded. Parachute loading was finished on the morning of Launchapalooza 2, with the Saturn V being the last rocket to complete the process. Launchapalooza 2 roared into the skies, starting with a launch of Independence, followed by 16 more rockets prior to the finale being scrubbed due to the loss of Black Brant 2 to high afternoon winds. 3 weeks later, the finale was completed at Launchapalooza 2 Part 2, with 5 rockets from the first half of Part 1 returning to flight. Panther Arcturus then launched 1,300 feet into the sky on an E-12-6 engine, successfully returning in one piece. Supernova then spiraled out of control on ignition, but the booster and rocket were recovered minus the nose cone. Comanche 3 completed its milestone launch, breaking the previous altitude record by ascending to 2,300 feet on 3 stages. All stages were recovered, with the upper stage breaking a fin on landing. Then came the return of the Saturns, with Saturn 1B launching first. Its upper stage parachute did not deploy, and the upper half crashed, losing an RCS nozzle. The booster was recovered with no damage, however. It was then time for Saturn V to launch again, but it too crashed, suffering more extreme damage than the Saturn 1B. Despite these failures, Launchapalooza 2 was a success and the biggest event to date, with 27 launches in both parts combined. A week after the finale concluded, the finished cut of the Launchapalooza 2 movie was completed, airing on YouTube on August 5th. During the second half of the summer, work on Zilla and Donkey Konker 2 was underway for Greenzilla vs. Donkey Konker, along with repairs to rockets that crashed at Launchapalooza 2. A private test launch event named Return to the High Flyers launched on August 13th, testing out Comanche 3, Supernova, and Space Force, along with Falcon 9 and Amazon in preparation for their 20th launches. All these launches were successful. The first weekend of September was a weekend with 2 launch events. The first one was the Dawn of Artemis, as it was scheduled to fly around the same time of Artemis 1, which was scrubbed to a later date. 5 rockets launched at this event. There were Space Force, Outlaw, Bullpup, Freedom, and the original Arcturus. Outlaw flew for its last launch of the year, while Bullpup was permanently retired. Greenzilla vs. Donkey Konker launched with 12 more rockets the next day, including the brand new Zilla, Donkey Konker 2, Speed Freak, and the Leprechaun. This launch was highly successful, with no failures requiring repairs. 2 weeks later, Panther Aerospace had its third official Panther Aerospace party, where 4 vintage rockets were received: the Ninja, the Electron, and Turbocopter, along with an unfinished fuselage. Out of all 4 of these rockets, only the Electron will fly at Launchapalooza 3. The unfinished fuselage will not be worked on, and Turbocopter and Ninja will be expended during the spring launches. The last launch of the 2022 launch season, Monster Blast, originally scheduled for September 24th, was delayed for a month on end before finally happening on October 22nd, about a week before Halloween. 13 rockets were used, with Greenzilla, Zilla, and Donkey Konker 2 returning, along with 2 new rockets, Zero and Aerodactyl, launching for the first time. This launch was not as successful as Greenzilla vs. Donkey Konker, with Greenzilla and Comanche 3 losing one of their fins, along with Zilla and Donkey Konker 2 crashing as they were launched on low-power engines. A total of 105 launches were done this year, the greatest out of any launch season. Thank you for tuning in to the 2022 Panther Aerospace Holiday Special. 2 new trailers will be coming soon. I'm out.